Hi, and thank you for joining me for another video. And friends, today we're going to be covering Haftarat Lecha, which is found in Yeshayahu Perek Mem Pasuk Chaf Vav until Perek Mem Aleph Pasuk Tet Vav, or Isaiah chapter 40 verse 27 until chapter 41 verse 16. But anyways, it reads, Lama Tomar Yaakov Uttaber Yisrael Nistara Darki Me'adonai Ume'elochai Mishpati Yavur. Why do you say, O Jacob, and declare, O Israel, my way is hidden from Hashem, and my cause has been passed over by my God? Ha lo yadata im lo shemat Elohei olam, Adonai borek ketzot haaretz. Could you not have known, even you had not heard, that the eternal God is Hashem, creator of the ends of the earth? So, contextually, this Haftarah has the Almighty comforting Israel with hopeful words through the Navi. And if you notice, here's one of the few places where Israel and Yaakov, and contextually Yehudah, are used synonymously to refer to the same group. In other words, while this was occurring, there was technically no country of Israel. Remember, the northern kingdom, or Mamlechet Yisrael, also known as Ephraim, what is geographically considered today from the Shomron all the way to northern Israel, and Yehudah, Judah, or Mamlechet Yehudah, was pretty much from Yerushalayim down to around Beersheba. And again, I'm just trying to impart some clarity here. So consider this segment just an FYI. Actually, the first time the land is referred to as Israel, literally Eretz Yisrael, is in Sefer Shmuel. And there it's a little hard to justify if contextually it was labeling a country or just a land inhabited by the children of Jacob, because as you know, Jacob was also called Israel. And the reason I bring this up is because in the arena of debates, I constantly hear people say that there was never a country called Palestine in that region. Well, honestly, there was never really a country called Israel either, with the exception of the northern kingdom of Israel, which, like we said, didn't even include Yerushalayim. And to be really honest, the region was actually known as Palestine, or some derivative of the word, going all the way back to even when the Hebrews were slaves in Egypt. Even all the way back to when the Greco-Seleucids controlled the region. Not to mention, it's specifically called the land of Canaan in Torah countless times, and even called Palestine, or Pelashet, in Sefer Shmot. And again, never, not once, is it ever referred to as Israel in Torah. Why not? Well, mainly because nationalism was not as important to the Almighty as it is to Zionists today. So, long story short, Israel was known as Palestine a lot longer than it was ever known as Israel. Not to say that it shouldn't be under Jewish control, but rather that in terms of semantics, we should just really be clear on this topic. And yes, I politically support the current state of Israel, while I religiously do not. Anyways, the Haftarah continues, giving chizuk, strengthening the morale of Israel, who in this context is surrounded by an invading army. It continues reading, Lo yi'af velo yiga, ein cheker lidvunato, who neither wearies nor tires, whose discernment is beyond investigation. And this actually brings up an interesting notion. It states that the Almighty's discernment, his plan, his will is beyond investigation. In other words, we do not know the way God thinks or operates. Now, this is not stating some new notion here. For example, we are very familiar with the Pasuk in Torah where it says, Hanistarat l'Adonai Eloheinu v'haniglot lanu ulvneinu ad olam. That the hidden things, the secrets, are for Hashem, and only what is revealed is for us and our children. In other words, telling us that if the Almighty wanted us to know His thought process or how He functions, He would have told us. Not to mention all the other Pesukim that reiterate the same idea. Now, tell that to the neo-mystics nowadays who claim to know and teach His supposed thought process, or even claim to know how to force God to act when He necessarily doesn't want to. Now, don't get me wrong, I have also taught that we are able to know what the Almighty cannot do. In other words, we know that He cannot contradict what He has revealed to us in Torah. In other words, if He would contradict His own legal code, He could probably still exist in how He exists now. But friends, He would no longer be God to any ethical monotheistic individual. And then, friends, it goes on to mention, I think, the most impactful statement in this whole Haftarah. It states, He gives us strength to the weary, and for the powerless He gives abundant might. Youths may worry and tire, and young men may constantly falter, but those whose hope is in Hashem will have renewed strength. They will grow a wing like eagles, and they will run and not grow tired. They will walk and not grow weary. And friends, when looking into the Rashi here, we see that Rashi is adamant in reminding us that here, the strength of the young men that will falter, that this is referring to the invading army. And then he states that the reason they fail, the reason they falter, is because the invaders do not keep Torah. And although that notion may sound a bit obvious and elementary from a literary perspective, you would be surprised to know that because of all the hashkafic whitewashing that occurs in the mystical world, this sounds almost revolutionary in the modern day Jewish mystical world. What do I mean? Well, because it is well understood nowadays that the reason the nations fail and ultimately falter is not because they don't keep Torah, but because they're not Israel. And there are those who will then blindly assume that Rashi here means that they're not keeping the 7 laws, or how others would put it, keeping their own Torah. And why do they feel obligated to translate it in such a manner? Well, mainly because if one would come to believe that the evil performed by the nations nowadays is due to the fact that they don't keep Torah, then obviously offering Torah, a proper understanding of Torah, would be the solution for the world's problems, i.e. proselytizing. An idea they cannot do nor fathom solely because it would go against the Kabbalistic principle that non-Jews are intrinsically evil and irredeemable, and only Jews are intrinsically pure and part of God, which is just another example why the Zohar and later Kabbalistic works have nothing to do with the Torah, or Tanakh for that. So I think we'll end here. Friends, for more information on everything Jewish, please visit dordea.com or torahjudaism.org. Thank you.